Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the final episode. We'll give it a minute or two for people to join. Apologies for the delay in getting started today. Please just pop something in the chat so let us know that you can hear us. We've got Tanya from Terminal below. Thank you for joining us. And Anatoly from Holy Water.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. You could take it from here, right?
Perfect. Yeah, I'll leave you to it. If you want to do a quick introduction so people can know a bit more about you.
Yeah. I mean, sure. So I'm Tanya. I'm the CEO of Terminal4. And we kind of built something like Netflix for consumer tech startups around the globe. So we run different acceleration programs with Meta, with Snapchat, with those guys, and actually helping our startups together with mentors from companies like Pinterest, like Spotify, Bolt. So those brands that we all love and want to learn from. And yeah, helping with the fundraising. So if I actually spotted a lot of great apps in this shift batch. So I would love to have a maybe chat, yeah, and think how we could help you as well. So just I don't know, connect me through the LinkedIn. And I have one great smart friend with me, Anatoly, and he's from Holy Water, and actually he's the co-founder, co-CEO, but also a first guy who joined team as a tech guy, and then grown to this co-founder, co-CEO role. And the Holy Water, just a quick, maybe a couple of words about the company, because it's one of the fastest growing companies in Europe. We have Lovable, we have Holy Water as well. Also having already 100 million K in ARR, and and it's still growing and have millions of users across the globe. And it's actually a whole, I would say, kind of a ecosystem of different media products that we have. Love this vertical shows and everything, books. So yeah, today I think we will talk a bit with Anatoly from his perspective, how he's actually built this cosmic speed the business, and some technical stuff. Yeah, how to iterate and how to build it in a right lean way. Anatoly, hi, how are you today? Tell me.
Yeah. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, I'm great. And I will add a few things about Holy Water. So basically, we are disrupting Hollywood, and we have more than 100 million ARR, more than 200 people, and really growing very fast. So
Yeah, so if there are anything about Holy Water that we don't know, maybe yet
yeah.
from the website and some
Uh,
key facts, like drop some juicy stuff.
Yeah, I think one of the new things we did this year is that we created first AI short film and basically get a lot of nomination and awards for our AI film. It was featured in Runway. We won 2 awards on Tele Awards, and actually it's our step towards bridging AI with creativity, and it was really great breakthrough for us since we really believe that AI will enable a lot of creators to produce great content, and we are building this path.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to drop into the background. I'll leave you two to it, and we'll pop some questions
We'll
up as
miss
we go
you.
along. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll miss you, and yeah, we'll be happy to have you back. Yeah, so let's just start this conversation, and I would love to lead it like as a, real talk, no fluffs, just straight to the point. So tell me about your story, because I know, as I mentioned, you joined as the first person in the team, so like the tech guy, and then you grow to this new big role, more on the visionary side, more on the build and the great partnerships, and like just really strain the team. And so I want to just know what happened to you. What's about mindset that help you actually upgrade, right? And then grow to this new role.
Yeah, great. So yeah, I joined as developer, and actually how I became and why I decided to be developer. So I was really inspired by story of Facebook, how Mark Zuckerberg launched something from scratch and made it global. And actually, I remember staying all night building different script using like old languages, Delphi for games when I was 15. But then I stopped, tried safe paths, university, but it didn't feel right. And I started freelancing, realized I could learn basically everything online, and I finally decided to drop out and to focus on code full time. And basically, what I learned: if you're curious, you can really start creating today, and you don't need to wait for anything. And fast forward to 2020. At 24, I co-founded Holy Water with Bogdan, and we launched a lot of products. But at the end, we pivoted to media. And 5 years later, as I mentioned, we built 100 million ARR AI-driven media company. And basically, we turn great stories into every format people consume. And right now, we are top one vertical series outside of China, and with more than 30 million fans all around the world.
Sounds impressive. I want to hear this bold numbers, but I want to hear just the real steps, how you get there, because that's the most interesting thing. And yeah, I see here in our chat a lot of friends from around the globe. I see Belgium, I see Italy. So friends, hi. Hope you're feeling great, and you're also yes, super kind of a. You will be super engaged in our conversation. So just drop your questions. We're here. And so let's go like straight to the point. Talking about your team, you mentioned you have like 200 plus people, which is a great, big company. And I know that you have only 30 or something like that developers. And who are those other people in a company? Because that's kind of leading us to what's the role of like programmers, developers these days. But I want to hear how the company is structured right now and how it was maybe early days like, compared to what it's now.
Yeah. Let me know. Let me tell you how we came to this. Like, I was a very efficient team, and I think one of the reasons for our success and for our growth, I would call it like hacker mindset, when basically you can ship very fast, ship early, listen to audience, and basically get feedback from audience. And I know Lovable also shares this mindset of delivering and getting feedback as soon as possible. And basically, this concept helped us to build this, I would call it like generalist style team who can solve any problem and getting things done. And in terms of team, yeah, we only have like 30 developers for more than 200 people, and everyone else is writers, editors, designers, marketers, ops, and basically a lot of different positions. But this, I would call it like lean generalist team, help us keep company moving fast and still be startup even with like this high annual revenue. And we ship dozen experiments each month and getting real feedback from users. So I would say that's one of the reasons we achieve this growth is I would call it like hacker mindset.
Okay, that's super interesting. Let's maybe go a bit futuristic, right? So, do you think in the future world, which is not so far away from us, because yeah, AI is everywhere booming. Do you think AI will handle all the stuff connected to writing, testing code, and like really be this one person tech guy, which is like AI agent or something in the team, or we'll still need some developers, programmers? How the future team could look like? So.
Yeah, I would definitely say that AI will give you a lot of enablement in terms of how fast and how much you can deliver as one person. And it's already happening. For example, in our tech world, in terms of developers, there are a lot of tools that helps you move fast, like Cursor, like make those local solutions that you can do things in hours instead of days, how it usually took before those tools. So I really believe there will be like solo entrepreneurs who can build 100 million companies with just using AI agent, using some automation. So it's moving there, and there are a lot of great examples how people with small team achieve. I think Lovable, Cursor, those companies, great example how much you can deliver with lean team using those kind of AI tools. But I still believe it will be about creativity. So you still need to be creative, still need to have like broad vision what you want to achieve. And AI tools they're just tools and they help you to achieve the result, but still it needs to be you who has vision. And I think it's especially happening in the creative part of writing, of film industry, where people could be scared of AI, but AI is just a tool that helps you to deliver your vision faster.
How do you kind of grow your creativity? Is any tips for this?
Yeah, I would say it's always be curious. So there is all a lot of information you can learn online, you can study, and I would say creativity is how curious you are about things, how much you really push yourself into getting better, into learning something, and everybody can be creative if they really put in some effort into it.
Yeah, amazing. If we have here solo founders who are building and Lovable, just put some, plus in the chat. Would love to see if we have teams or have solo builders here. Yeah, so let's maybe discuss something more, practical for our founders that maybe could be helpful. So you said that your actually goal and like a part of your this hacker mindset is just to really test fast and like ship fast and iterate, and then that's like again and again and again. Can you drop some examples of how you actually do that? So you have a product, wherever product it is, and so what's like what those steps after that?
Yeah, I think like what really defines this kind of mindset, it's about because it's all about data and how fast you can get data, how fast you can get feedback. And for me, hacker mindset is to build something simple and, for example, just show your friends, and you can get data fast without waiting for the whole product. Or, for example, you can go to, I don't know, some kind of forums, even this chat, and send your what you built and try to get feedback. So for me, hacker mindset is about getting feedback as fast as possible, focusing on only viable part of your idea, and after iterating and getting think what you need to build next.
Yeah, so do you have any tools that you're using, or like maybe some like, blueprint that we could use as well?
Yeah, in terms of approaches, so there are tools that you can use to build. For me, tools that I can get feedback. I mean, you can always use like meta ads, you can go to Reddit forums, you can go to Product Hunter, a lot of, I would say, distribution option. And hacker mindset is about, at least for me, is build something fast, find distribution, get feedback, and move on. For me, for example, I would publish something on Product Hunt to get feedback, or some forums, Reddit, or I don't know, contact some guys with audience and try to ask them to publish your idea to get feedback. So for me, those are the options.
Mm-hmm. So we have here, guys, and I see amazing stories like in 60 days, somebody turned the Lovable build actually demos into revenue ready SaaS, and let's say it sounds amazing. But I think let's maybe deep dive into it and help other founders who are like not so quick with that. So if you, let's say, launch a product on Lovable, right? And you wanted to turn it into a real business, real startup. What would you do? Like your first 3 steps, let's say. So how do we? What would we do next? Like, okay, I'm like code something, and what?
Yeah, that's really a great question. So I would definitely like split into parts. So first, think about, okay, if you want to launch something, you need to understand how you will measure success. And even before launching, understanding what success means for you, even for early stage, is very important. And basically, for example, if you have idea, what would I do? I try to speak to competitors, try to speak to ex-employees from them, try to get benchmarks data from the market, how this product performs for others, just to get an idea, okay, how can I define success? And once I define success, second step is about distribution. Like any product, any idea you build, you need to find distribution. For example, as I mentioned before, you can go to Reddit, to forums. There are like a lot of ways to distribute idea, and understanding your distribution, understanding what audience you're looking for is very important. Even from my experience, we used to have like female products, and we launched for wrong audience with a lot of male audience, and this product didn't work. Even though it was great for female, it didn't work for male. And distribution, understanding audience is very important. So I would definitely find distribution. Another good thing that I know a lot of solopreneurs building, a lot of, I would say, like early stage startup stages, they build audience. So what you can do, you can build your own audience, you can create like mail lists, you can create some blog articles and try to gather audience and basically it gives you distribution. For example, you can build an audience for some retail market about some kind of updates, how prices are changing, and you have 500 followers who can be your first audience who will test your product and see if it works for them. So I would say those like two main steps is to understand what success means and have audience, understand what kind of audience looking for, and better is to build audience.
You said you need to understand your audience, which is like definitely great advice. But how do you understand, like as a team, right, as a founder, that actually people love your product, they are excited about your product, or which your launches features are actually resonates the most? So how to measure it in a like super practical level?
I mean, I would definitely suggest there are a lot of tools. I would definitely suggest user interviews are great ones because you don't need to have a lot of them, and 5, 6 are usually enough, and you can get real feedback. And you don't usually need like final product even for getting this feedback. And there are a lot of I think they're called like dog tests when you show some early stage product, even not MVP before that, and you get feedback. Will they use it? Do they like it? Does it solve their problem? So I would say the main thing is go and speak with your users, try to show them their product and see with what audience it resonates. And that's first thing. And after that, it's definitely doing market research, understanding are there any competitors, what their audience look like. There are a lot of tools such as SimilarWeb that can give you these insights. There are a lot of industry benchmarks. You can probably check like Anderson Horowitz. Those funds have a lot of industry benchmarks, and you can basically get a lot of data already and a lot of data collected to just understand, okay, will this product fit for your audience? But I think you should always start from user interviews and speaking to audience because it's free. It doesn't take a lot of effort, and it gives you a lot of good information.
Amazing. So let's imagine I'm building, I don't know, language learning app, wherever. I've just created it and I want to launch. So is there any metrics like the early stage builders should track at the the first step, and then maybe to upgrade with others?
Yeah, again, it really depends on the niche, but you mentioned like language learning is probably B2C, business to consumer, so you will need to have a lot of users. And actually, for these kind of apps, there is like Duolingo example, and for them, it's about engagement and turn this engagement to payment. So this is just an example how we should think. So for each app, there is different metrics. And for example, there could be an enterprise language learning app where you only focus on big companies and try to sell your app for them. Okay, it will mean one metrics. For example, can you secure enterprise clients and what they're paying? So I would say you should always research metrics for your kind of niche and start from that, and then have benchmark and decide, okay, how we will get audience.
So actually your competitors, so-called, they are your friends because they could show you the way you could go through, check some their mistakes, or either some metric that they are checking, and actually that would be your blueprint. And we have an interesting question here in the chat. How much time do you dedicate to the distribution part, and what channels do you use? I think distribution part compared to maybe product development part or any other business related areas, and channels that you use, also important.
Yeah, I would say with like tools, with Lovable, with Cursor, how basically gives you so much velocity to build fast. It's all about distribution, and it's about having audience. So for me, probably like more than 80%. And even building audience is much more difficult and much more impactful than building products. So if you have audience, you will find the way to distribute for this audience, and it's just about like finding what their problem, how you can solve it. But if you don't have audience, it's much more difficult, and definitely will have a lot of like issues with product market fit, with feedback loop. So I would definitely suggest focusing on audience first, and then building distribution for them and building product for them. And actually, there are a lot of I think great example on the internet, there are a lot of solopreneurs who explain this kind of concept about building audience first and then solving their problem.
Yeah, so I would probably ask our guys who are listening to us, if you have any specific question, like some case, like I'm building this kind of product and I want to know about 1, 2, 3, I think that would be super interesting to like really talk to you guys, but in a different way. And I think Anatoly is just like a great brain to brainstorm with you on that. So just yeah, drop it in the chat. And meanwhile, I just have probably another question. And it's kind of about the iterating or pivoting and everything connected to that. So when you handle this user feedback at one place and you kind of try to analyze what's going on with your product, whether user love that or not. So how do you decide you want to iterate because you believe like this way of developing your product that has some potential, or you either pivot in completely because you see it's not working, you don't solve real problems, you don't have users. So how do you understand that moment? Because I know that's such a hard question for all of the founders when they just started.
Yeah, so in terms of iterating, pivoting, so how would you approach it? For example, let's say you launch this language sharing app and your benchmark is to have retention day one like 40%. And it's like industry benchmark and your goal is to hit this benchmark. When you launch it, you see, okay, you have 30% day one. It means you're close and you need to optimize funnel, audience, product features. And that's great sign for you that, okay, you have goal, you have data, and you need to optimize it. And after that, you just iterate. You pick different segments, you pick different features, and moving towards how can I make my product better. And it's already almost working. In terms of pivoting, it's like different side, and it's about when the core experience fails to engage and you're too far away from benchmark, from industry standards. And for you need to decide either you didn't get like right audience and you mismatch audience, and because of that metric doesn't work, or your product, the problem you're trying to solve is not really important and people are not want your product is not enough for them to use it. And there are actually a lot of great frameworks, and I think one of most probably famous, popular, is called Superhuman Product Market Fit Survey. It's a very simple concept. It's about surveys. They ask you ask your audience only 3 questions, and on that you can decide, do you have product market fit, what you need to achieve that, what your like most loyal audience complaining about. I suggest googling it. It's very great example without having huge audience to get feedback.
Okay, and we have a question in chat which is quite interesting about like early days. So what would you do differently while launching a holy water back then?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say that the thing I mentioned about understanding what metrics you should focus, and basically one of the mistakes I would be made, it's about focusing on wrong metrics at the beginning. And for example, we focus on payment metrics, we focus on how fast we can break even, how fast we can make our money back when we launch product. But instead of that, we should focus on content engagement, because if you know your content is right and it's according to benchmark, according to your competitors or better, you can build on that. And that's one of the mistakes we made when we launched. And after that, we made learnings and we decided how we always prioritize data, what we want to achieve, what our success looks like before even launching to our audience.
Yeah. I think we have one more, like we have a couple of comments in the chat, and I just really want to somehow help our builders to maybe with any advice that we could give. And so there are a lot of things like that I'm better with in marketing, or I don't really know how to market or whatever. So what's marketing for you? But when we're talking about like early days and like no real experience in marketing, let's say founders are coming from the tech background, from like sales background, but like they're really B2B and you're B2C product, let's say. So how would you approach this?
Yeah, in our early days, since we launched business to consumer products, and they're like high volumes. We had millions of installs even after our first few months of launch. We focus on distribution that work for this audience, and for mobile application, mobile business to consumer application, subscription application, Facebook, Meta, those were like the best distribution channels, because they find audience you need, they find it quick, and it's very efficient. I wouldn't say it's the best option for distribution since it's very expensive. It takes a lot of effort to practice, but for us it worked. And after that, we scaled to other channels like organic, working with influencers, working with brands, and build different channels. But at the beginning, this kind of meta-style distribution worked for us very well. But I wouldn't say it will work right now, since it's much more competitive. And if you want to scale to even our volume like 4 years ago, it will take you like $100,000, and it's not really sustainable unless you have factoring or other finance options. And I wouldn't really recommend it for solopreneurs, since it's high risk and takes a lot of financing and time.
Yeah, and so so we have here again a question. If at the beginning there's no data to compare, so I don't know how to gather this like actual user feedback, and so maybe we could just drop some, I don't know, like a benchmarks. So how many people do you need to use your product or give your feedback to really understand it's just because of them liking the product, or if I scale it and like do some other marketing activities, so people would love it.
Mm-hmm. I would say there is always data, since you can, I don't know, even ask ChatGPT to get your benchmark for any kind of niche, since there are huge amounts. So there should be a problem. But in terms of like rule of thumb, there probably you need to have 5-6 user interviews. In terms of if you get like day one retention, you need 100 installs. There's just an example. You can always find those minimum data required for your niche. So there is always data. So if you cannot find it, it's probably you're not looking right. And I would definitely suggest changing your option. And for example, you have an idea, you can always speak to your founders, other founders community, to get their perspective. Maybe they know benchmark or data, or you can speak to ex-employees. So there is always way to find what you should look in terms of first test and performance.
Yeah, I think I have one more question to really talk about this tech stuff, and then we will maybe deep dive more into a question that we have again in our chat box. And so the question is, actually, the Lovable user building their like first product, right? And sometimes they don't really have like the technical background. And I know like people talking about, okay, if I do like vibe coding or something, so then do I need to worry about when I'm scaling, about like tech debt, about any other things which make the infrastructure more complicated, so I can't handle it really when I'm growing? And so what do you think when it's time to think about like more complicated infrastructure, adding more developers and everything to, or like in the beginning it's not a big deal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so actually, I would say a very popular question and thing. And here's my take. I mean, technical debt won't really damage or kill your company. And if you're truly growing, so it means, okay, you're winning your users, you're scaling, and you will, at some point, you will cash and effort to fix this technical debt. So, and you don't need to worry, and you will find the time when it really bottlenecks you and it blocks your scale. And in case you're not growing, and if you will focus on technical debt, you will just die, because instead of growing, find audience and scaling, you're trying to fix issues that are not really issues right now. They will be probably like in 6, 8, 10 months, but they're not important right now.
Yeah, and we have seen one more question already on the screen, and it's about whether you should look for technical co-founder if you're a non-technical founder. And I think there are like lots of different like the angles of this question. So the first one, I think that's definitely for you. You just answer about it, but maybe in terms of like building your team, right? So should you look for some CDO in the beginning for your startup? And in terms of like investors or how our approach at trmnl4, I could answer after you.
Yeah, great. So I wouldn't really define technical, non-technical. For me, is most important thing is to be generalist, is to be able to solve any problem, and with a lot of like low-code solution, lovable style solution, you can, solve any technical problem without being technical. So being generalist is much more important. Understand how the world works around you, and trying to find ways how you can solve the problem. And being technical doesn't really matter right now. Probably like 5, 7, 10 years ago, it was more important, but right now it's about solving the problem and be curious about this problem, be persistent, believing that you can solve problem, then having some kind of skills.
What is generalist? Like, from your perspective, so what skills should I have to be generalist? Because I have like limited amount of time, right, in my life. So if I am solo founder, I'm generalist, what I should learn, first of all?
It really depends on your goals. So, for example, what you achieve and your weak points. And for example, okay, you build great product, you see that it has great retention, performance, but you don't have distribution. And being generalist, it means you can solve this problem, or try to find how you can solve this problem. So it basically means that you can solve any problem, and it doesn't mean that you need to go and solve hands-on, being by yourself. It means find the right people, find the right information, networking, and so on. So for me, being generalist is to be able to solve any problem, any challenge, just being curious, having network, speaking to other founders, and not limiting yourself.
Yeah, and what do you think, maybe just answering another question, what's the investors' take on you being a solo founder? What you see in the market that's just interesting, and I will maybe answer from my side.
Yeah, I would say being sole founder is not. I know, for example, from Y Combinator and from a lot of Combinators, is having a co-founder is very important. It's not about like having technical co-founder. It's about also having support. And I have co-founder, and we've been a lot of through together, and we built a lot of solved a lot of challenges. And it's really important someone you can rely on, who can help you, who can challenge you, and have different opinion. So it's always lonely building something, but when you have co-founder, it really helps you to get another perspective. So I would say it's about probably building resilience rather than having specific skills. Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons a lot of investors, a lot of funds really appreciate more if you have co-founder, somebody you can work together.
Yeah, sure. I'm totally agree on that VC side. So I think for the venture capital firms, it's really important for you to be backed up by each other when you're founders. But I think when you are just started and maybe raising your first check from like any business angel that you could find, so sometimes it's like totally okay if the product is great and the founder is passionate and everything. Just the right time, right product, right audience, and everything. So I think that's possible. But yeah, having a team is just I think that founder's journey is something which is like it's so hard, probably. So have the people by your side with whom you could just share all of those challenges. That's important. And so just from the mental health perspective, that's something that could save your life probably. And how do we actually, what we do with the solo founders in trmnl4, we're super okay. And I think maybe sometimes in the community you could also find your kind of a soulmate and your co-founder. But definitely teams that we're working with, they're maybe or on a beat like pre-seed to seed stages, so started from those kind of stages, and so usually they already have teams, but it's not red flag. Thanks for the question. We have a lot of questions here in our chat, and yeah, but again, thanks for this like conversation answering my previous questions. And so I'm just quickly go through this chat like and really try to pick up some. If you see any of those that you are already like caught and you would love to answer, let me know. But I see what I'm seeing interesting here. Okay, was a question about organic channels.
Yeah, I
Get
love
it?
holy water t-shirt. Yeah, you can message me on LinkedIn and we will send you one.
Yeah. Oh wow. Oh wow. That's a great marketing channel, or quite organic one. If you see. So about organic channels, let me be answer this. We're talking about like tech stuff, iteration, but I think lots of marketing questions. So let's just maybe raise them and answer what organic channels would you use right now if you just started building your product?
Mhm. Yeah, again, organic is very, I would say, broad definition. It's probably better to focus on building audience and building organically audience than just organic channels, since you can, I don't know, build medium blog with a lot of, I would say, great articles about some niche. People will read it, will follow you, and basically you have your own channel that was built organically, but it's still your own channel and your own distribution. So there are a lot of ways you can do it. You can do on Reddit, you can do on Substack, you can even build your Facebook page with some kind of videos or posts or Twitter account. There are a lot of different strategies that you can use and build an audience. But I think it's about quality of your material, about really being curious, being loving what you're doing, and that's really what matters about bringing audience. And for example, our products, people really love them. They leave great reviews and enjoying using them. And that's one of ways we're building those kind of organic channels on our own. We have a lot of views on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, just organically.
Mm. And we have a great question here, and I would love you to answer it. Have you ever regretted bringing users in too soon? Whether the line between gathering valuable feedback and undermining your brand with an unfinished product? So that's the question that we have. So yeah, basically it's super simple. If you have shitty product, you need to bring in users, or how do you decide it? Because fast, yeah, it's everything, velocity at everything. But yeah, where's this line?
I would say it's really about, does your product solve the problem, even badly, even like some percentage, but does it solve it? And is it good enough to solve that problem? It could be not polished, it could be result of bugs, issues, but if it solves, it's enough to get orders. I think probably Lovable is a great example. I think they launched like GPT style agent that help you to code something. And I'm pretty sure that product was very early, unfinished, but it still was enough to solve one problem and people like it and it scaled. And that's probably your answer here. If you think your product solved the problem, and that's probably enough to start gathering feedback and see. But because if your product doesn't solve the problem but you think it solves, getting feedback will show you this issue and you probably save a lot of effort and time.
Yeah. And I want to ask you one more thing, is that you mentioned a couple of like company through this conversation, and maybe for founders also to learn something. What products or founder stories are you like obsessed with, maybe, or you was like inspired by lately, and maybe who you follow secretly or not secretly for the inspiration?
Yeah, since I'm focusing on a lot of on Gen AI right now, on how we can disrupt Hollywood, how like Netflix will look like in 2-3 years, I'm really following a lot of entertainment people, especially who building Gen AI products, who building Gen AI models, and a lot of people who I'm following. In terms of great stories, I watch a lot of podcasts like 20VC. I think it's probably one of the greatest podcasts that gives you like fair perspective on founders. And one of the stories that recently inspired me about Get Your Guide, about how they found built this kind of huge product, how they pivoted, how they basically built unicorn in Europe with a lot of challenges, and how they overcome COVID. So just great example of resilience for me, and this really inspires me.
Yeah, and what would you build if it's not a holy water, right back then? So, or right now, if you would start the new company, what it would be? Maybe any product, any space that you would love to enter.
Yeah. I'll say I definitely love building Hollywood and that we're building future Netflix and how entertainment will look like. And I think Hollywood will be biggest name in this niche. I'm also interested in and curious about longevity topics, so how human body works. So if it wasn't like disrupting Hollywood, it probably will be some longevity and health topics that really also interest me. But again, disrupting Hollywood is really a priority right now, and I think it's the best time to do it.
What the way for you to disrupt Hollywood?
Yeah, I think like giving an option everybody to be creator in terms of content, that anybody can create Hollywood movie at their home and being Hollywood and being distribution, given option to anybody to distribute their content. That's what we have been doing with books. We one of the top publishers in the world right now, and we help a lot of authors to reach audience. And that's our plans for movies. And when Gen AI is good enough, I think there will be a lot of content. Great content will always perform, and basically distributing this content and unlocking people potential, building this content. That's for me disrupting Hollywood.
Okay, that's great. And how did you come up? That's not even my question. You see, how did you come up with the name Hollywater?
You can apply to one of our job openings, and if you reach final step, I will tell you. We have two stories how Hollywater name came up.
Yeah, two stories. Okay, so one for the public and one for those who are the team, like the true one.
Yeah, as I said, if you reach final stage of our any job openings, I will tell you during interview.
That's a great, great move. Love it. Okay, yeah, great. So guys, let us know if you have any questions, super specific question. I can see a lot of comments and everything regarding the Lovable as a platform. We also love Lovable, but I don't think me and Anatoly, we could answer those questions about the actually using the product. I think our amazing Lovable team would probably answer better. But if you have any questions connected to product, marketing, tech part, definitely, because we're talking about it, this as well, partnership or everything, just drop it. Okay, that's an interesting question. Yeah, with Holy Water, do I get to choose what happens in the story, or do the characters just ignore me like my cat does? I love this question. I don't know who it is, and actually that's E, but maybe drop your name, please. But the questions from you are just super creative.
We actually used to have interactive stories where you can basically choose your own adventure game and build how the story will finish. And actually, since we're in vertical niche, we also develop a vertical series where you can affect how the story will end. And I think in the future it will be all about personalization. And we will definitely be one of those products who will let you create your own movie, create your own book with your own adventure that you want to see happen in the story or movie.
Yeah, and one more question on also the product, the Holy side. What bottlenecks do you see with stateful client-side stories, which are AI generated, and versus the live streaming approach? So,
So if I understood correctly, so it's about like live generated or pre-generated. So right now with live generation, it's all about cost, quality, and right now it's definitely too early for this kind of content. But with AI generated, with like human touch, you can definitely build high quality content. So right now, yeah, it's much better approach, and basically it also gives you copyright protection since it's still human created content.
Human created, okay, but yeah, maybe in the future that would be quite different stories, I think, with most of the content. Yeah, and so we have one more questions on the best practices for solidifying partnerships. Maybe from your experience. how you build in partnerships, or what kind of partnership actually do you have for all of us to understand? And yeah, maybe then from that point, some advice.
Yeah, actually, we have like a lot of partnership with big names like Meta, TikTok, and Google. Since we've been partnered with them for a long time. Well, for me, I'll say you have different options. You still need to be like human connected, and be connected with people. Have probably visit different conferences, build like human connection style, and really helps. If you are starting, you don't have any results, but once you get results, they tell their story. So if you're like growing fast, you're building your brand, that's enough to build like probably any partnership. But at the core for me is building like human connection with account managers, with partners, and that's really helps to get any partner.
Okay, so you're more on the like partners with the big traffic sources, bit like guys on the Martech side, so those kind of partnerships that's usually developed. But you don't B2C, so like that makes
I would say
sense.
like for even App Store, Google Play, for a lot
Mhm.
of companies, like I think in the comments was Revenue Cat. Revenue Cat is one of our partners, and we have a great relationship with them. So we have a lot of partners around different spheres we are working with, Amplitude, with like Fingerprint, with a lot of companies.
Yeah. And we have the question, which I would love to turn into more of like case study for us right now. Carol asking if she has contacted influencers and they're interested in supporting the platform. Carol, give us a bit more context what the platform is, like what you're building. And so, but they are ready to support, but still she's thinking it's too early to show it like publicly because there are some bugs. And so the thing is, I would probably ask you, there are always a lot of bugs, right? If you're just launching the product and every time something crashing, and that's okay actually. How do you work with the feedback to your users when there's like criticism, like we don't like it, it's like crashed every time? What would you do if that's your first users and you would really love them to stay with you and maybe to learn something from them?
Yeah, so it really depends how big your audience is. For example, the best approach is A/B test. So you split your audience into two, show them different versions, and get data. And basically, you can measure this statistically to see how it really performs. If you don't have enough users, don't have enough data, I think surveys and the superhuman approach is probably the best one, since you don't need a lot of users, probably like 50, 100 users could be enough to show you, do they like product, why they like, what features they think are important. And after that, what you can do, you can get survey, you can understand what your audience, like most loyal audience, like, and what features they like, and try to improve those features, and then run again this kind of survey and build this kind of loop. So it's about getting feedback from your most loyal audience, improve it, and then getting again feedback. And surveys probably one of the best options. You can also do user interviews for feedback, but if you're trying to iterate and improve, probably you have bigger audience, and surveys should work much better.
Yeah, definitely. Then we also have some question, but I would love we have elevate your conversions, interesting nickname. But we have the question now that we're finishing with our product and validate them. Some of us have users enjoying the products. What would you recommend be our next 5 moves? So we already talked about it. So I would love maybe you to again clarify what the product is or different products, as I see from your question. So we could really deep dive into a specific case and then recommend something. Um,
But one thing I can add, definitely, you can, for example, if this product is free, you could definitely try to ask them paying. And without like the freemium model, just ask it, do you want to pay? And try to charge them. And it will be like final test. Does this really product is good enough for people to pay? Because if product is free, a lot of people use it. But once you try to charge them, and it's really like I would call it litmus test, like rule of thumb, if product is good enough, people will pay it. And if they don't pay it, it's definitely an issue you need to solve. So if you believe your product good enough, try to charge users and see how it will work.
Yeah, it's a great question. And while maybe we clarify and what the product is, guys, don't be shy to share what are your products, because we're super curious. That's super interesting to see what you're building. And meanwhile, just maybe answer the question about again getting into Terminal 4 and what our basic requirements. So I would say that basic requirement that you have your product built at some point, then you're already done with the MVP, you launch it, and like you have some user feedback. We're working with the consumer tech, meaning if you're building an app, if you're building a marketplace or like any socials or something like that. So we would love to work with you. We're not the most powerful ecosystem for B2B enterprise vertical heavy. But for a product that everybody could use, like we could use, so that's probably our core. So yeah, and just apply and let's talk, let's connect on LinkedIn or wherever, and just see if there is a feed and we can help you right away. Okay, so we have another question right here, just pop up on the screen, and then we missed it. Okay, yeah, so friends, like 3, 2, 1. If you have any other questions, let's discuss them. If not, we will slowly wrapping up this conversation. It was super nice and yeah, I think practical. Yeah, we have some questions on applications.
Yes, I'm gonna pop in here. So
yeah.
thank you so much. Please, if you've got any questions for Tanya or Anatoly, please just put them in the chat. Question here: when are applications actually due? I believe this is referring to the submissions as part of our cohort. So we're on our final week. This week is pitch practice, getting our pitches ready. We're going to do our online gallery of pitches, share that with investors. We're going to send our top 50 over to accelerator programs, including Terminal 4. And our top 10 will then do our demo day before a panel of judges. The applications, I believe, refers to your final pitches, which is just as your normal updates you do each week this Sunday. So looking forward to that. Is there a question here for you?
Yeah, I think there's some Lovable related questions, a lot of them. Yeah, you have a quite active community. That's what I love. That's what I love. Yeah, and I think we could share our LinkedIn's with Anatoly, since we promised to, answer to chat and like to maybe have some like one-on-one converse with friends. But yeah, we'll share. I'm not sure I could, really enter the chat, the general one.
Yes. Sorry.
But if you could, that would be perfect. And waiting for the demo day to really to really see all of those founders pitching, and to support them, because I think that would be just a legendary.
And I know people are going to definitely harass Anatoly to get some holy water shirts. I'm one of them. We've got another question here that I think is a really good question. What was a company that you've worked with that shocked you in a positive way?
Okay, do you think that's a question for me, for Anatoly?
For both, even for me.
Yeah. Can I just drop here? I'm not sure the name of the company. We haven't worked with that company, but what guys are building? I just dropped the message on LinkedIn, like that's the most weird but really interesting product that I ever seen. So what they are doing, there's some kind of an app when you could really find the toilets near you in any part of the world in 5 seconds. And it was like, and guys are really, they are disruptors, like hustlers, and they're like super I think proud of what they're doing and like passionate about that. So I think that's interesting, because there are lots of builders solving pretty basic problems, but like so needed for us, the humans sometimes. But in terms of companies shocking me, I think I'm just company that I will drop here, just guys who right now everywhere, maybe it's Kalei, Cooley, who are like building something super fast and curious and really changing the perception of what we're doing in terms of the product, or how we will, how we could feel about that any type of products in the future, and how we do marketing and everything, like working with the creators, and so that's what really, like, in a good way, but shocked me. So, like, a couple of examples that I just drop in here.
Anatoly?
Yeah, well, for me, I would say ByteDance, TikTok. They're like huge company, but I was really surprised how fast they're moving for this kind of huge company. They're still being startup, and they really like a lot of features fast in ByteDance, and it really was surprised me, and especially when they came to Portugal for us to do a business review, and that's really, I think, one of the probably fastest company in big tech right now.
Oh.
Beautiful. trmnl4 surprised me. Definitely went above and beyond to try and support me in different ways. But also, I'll just throw out their Build Club. Annie Liao, who made a video series for us, this education series, has been very helpful. It basically in a week turned around what I would have spent a month on. So appreciate you, Annie, and your team.
Yeah, that's a great issue.
Tandy, this is a question for you. Your company works with social platforms. I know you've been doing some work with Meta, but do you work with founders in that space as well?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I had a chat with guys from maybe Voodoo, the Be Real. They just acquired like a year ago or something, Real and everything. And I think, just to inspire people building in this space, like social platforms. And what guys told me, and that actually new generation of newcomers, social platforms, like a club of some interests come in here, and people would love to maybe spend more time in some more small circles than like TikTok or Instagram or everything. So we really believe in this, and we really would love to work with the founders building socials in any specific niche, or like that could be for everyone, but just maybe with some creative addition to it, like some different way of really building connections. So socials, that's a really great niche, I think.
But Carol, I think Carol's going to hit you up on this to follow the conversation. I guess we'll wrap it up there. I'll get all the social links sent out. What's your preferred platform for people to engage you on?
LinkedIn, maybe.
LinkedIn. Okay. Anatoly?
Yeah, the same.
Yeah, Sam, it's much more like I know that this would be somehow connected to startups, definitely. So LinkedIn, yeah, that's my go-to.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for presenting and sharing some knowledge. It was very helpful. I'm glad that you supported our community here. We'll get some links out to you as well when we're doing our demo day.
Yeah, and friends, just thanks Brenton for the invitation, and for all of you builders, thanks for your building and really trying to make this world a better place. But yeah, really appreciate that have this talk with you guys. And Anatoly, thank you again for joining, and would love to see a new unicorn called Holy Water. Would be soon, and all the media, I don't know, titles.
Yeah, perfect. I'm looking forward to it.